So we pay respect first in the beginning. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Present welfare, future welfare. This present welfare, this future welfare was a question raised by this householder, by a Kapacha, and he wanted the Buddha to actually teach them in a way that they will lead to welfare and happiness in this lifetime, also in the future life. He said, because we as lay people, we enjoy sensual pleasures, dwelling at home in a bed crowded with children. Yes. And enjoying fine sandalwood, wearing garlands, that means decoration, right? Like cosmetics, scents and unguents, that's cosmetic. Accepting gold and silver, that means all these jewelries. So this is what a household life is about, you know. Besides making ends meet, bringing food to the family, one also enjoys sensual pleasures. Whether you enjoy or not, it really is you. It's your thing. Is enjoy the children overcrowded in your bed, and the rest of the decorative things, especially to a woman. Of course, nowadays to a man too, right? Because there is a lot of cosmetics for men and everything. So anyway, so Bhayagapacha actually asked the Buddha, and of course, always, as you can see from whether it's a simple sutra like Ratana Sutta, or a big chapter like this one, the happiness visible in this present life, which you can actually see it in the many different suttas in the Nikaya. Whether it's a big sutta or whether it's a very simple sutta like or Metta Sutta or Ratana Sutta or Mahamangana Sutta, it always is the Buddha always only start to teach upon a request. Okay, so the Buddha would not just go out and teach on his own accord, but always upon the request of people, whether it's a householder, whether it's devas or deities. Okay, so we can see it from what we have been studying all along. Why? Why do you think it has to happen like that? Okay, Nora. Nora, you have to unmute yourself. Nora, you have to unmute yourself.
It shows respect. You're asking the teacher to teach you.
Yeah, okay, good, very good. Very good. Any other things? Any other? Laurie?
To what Nora said, but also it shows that you're willing to listen and to hear.
Yeah, very good. And Versha, is it the same? Not really. Yes? Okay. Who else? Anybody else? Dharma is precious. Okay, Jeremy. Eugene from San Francisco said Dharma is precious. And Jeremy?
Oh, there we go. Because you have to know what somebody needs to be taught. right? The pressing thing that I have a problem with is what I'm looking, because I'll listen most deeply to that, would I not?
Say that again. The last bit.
You have to ask for a teaching because that thing that I'm most concerned about or thinking about is the thing that I will listen to the deepest.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Good. Okay. You have all given the really good answers, very good answers, right answers. And as Jeremy said, I request, and for me, I feel that one very important point is, if we don't request it, we sort of being given to us just like this. Who cares? I don't care. I come, I don't come. You know? So people, they need to appreciate that. So, and then I have actually experienced that myself so much here in this country. I'm not pointing fingers at any of you. Okay, people register, people don't come because they don't care. So I don't come. One spare spot, but they forget. If they don't come, that spare spot could have been given to other people who could benefit, right? Because people do not appreciate things that is given to them so easily. That's why if I charge, I think all these Zoom courses will be very full. If I charge $100 a session, I think people would just come. More, I think, because they think, oh, $100, it must be very good. I better register fast and soon, then I get some income too, right? Now I don't get anything, except, sometimes you bring us banana bread. Or some of you come to weed. I'm just joking. That's why the teachings is so precious, but people do not know how precious it is because it's so easily given to them, right? So that's I think the Buddha did it really, really wonderfully, but nowadays it's very difficult to do. And let us stop there. Don't go further. Okay, so that's why it's always being requested. Okay, so the Buddha said, listen then. Bhayakappacha, listen. There are 4 things that lead to the welfare and happiness of a family man in this lifetime. So family men, all the family men, please listen carefully. And also family women, also listen carefully. Okay. Even though the Buddha said to the family man, but the family woman has to listen too. So he said present welfare, future welfare. So the Buddha said there are 4 things. The first thing is the accomplishment of persistent effort. So whatever he means, how he earns his living, the accomplishment with persistent effort. Persistent effort is necessary. Okay, very, very important. Persistent effort in how? He is very skillful, he is very diligent. And also the second thing is he actually what does he say here? He actually investigates the appropriate means to actually make his living. The appropriate means. That's why it comes here. After this is the right livelihood. So if it is done with inappropriate means, then you should understand that it will not bring present welfare or future welfare, right? So accomplishment by persistent effort in using the appropriate means. And also, he's able to act and arrange everything properly and correctly. Not like disorganized and improperly. Okay, so that is called the accomplishment of persistent effort. Whatever business that he actually engaging himself in, okay, the Buddha right here said, whether it's by farming, by trade, cattle raising, archery, or civil service, or by some other craft, he needs to be skillful. He needs to investigate the appropriate means. He needs to act and arrange everything properly. Then the second thing is the accomplishment of protection. So the means how to protect his wealth. Okay, how to protect his wealth. So set up protection and guard over the wealth acquired by this persistent effort, energetic efforts. So in the old days, there are no banks, there are no safety deposit box. So how could they guard their wealth? Yeah, dig a hole under the tree, and or dig a hole into the wall and make a fake door there, whatever. And then amassed by the strength of his arms. So that means, what does that mean? Amassed by the strength of his arms. Anybody could give me an answer to this? Understanding, Laurie? Okay. Let us give Versha this time. Okay, Versha. Say that again.
I thought it meant by his own hard work and his own effort.
Okay, all right. Yep. Okay. You agree, Laurie? Okay, good. Everybody agrees? Yes, okay, good. So yes, by his own efforts. And then the last one is earned by the sweat of his brow. That means he's hardworking. He don't just earn it, without sweat. So that means he's very diligent. And then also, the accomplishment of protection has to be, the wealth has to be earned righteously by, righteous wealth and righteously gained. So the efforts has to be righteous. Okay, so nowadays we look around the world, there are a lot of wealth which are not earned righteously, right? So that is not called the accomplishment of protection. And then the accomplishment of protection is always thinking about how he can prevent kings and bandits from robbing and taking this away, fire from burning it, and floods from sweeping it off, and unloved heirs taking it away. So we have seen a lot of these happening in the world, even nowadays, unloved heirs taking it away. That means the children, the siblings, whoever, that take away the wealth of one who has actually put their efforts in to make such wealth, but it's being taken away by this dishonest, unloved heirs. So this is called the accomplishment of protection. And then the third one, the third of the four things is the good friendship. So what does it mean by good friendship? We all understand the words very, very, very thoroughly, I think. So that means he associates with householders or the children or the family, whether they're young or old, who are of mature virtue. It says here, mature virtue, and accomplished in faith and moral discipline and generosity and wisdom, which the last four, moral discipline, generosity, and the wisdom, are the four things that are responsible for welfare in the future. But here, welfare at the present also needs all these four things plus faith. Okay? So, faith, moral discipline, generosity, and wisdom. Faith, moral, yeah. Yeah, these are the four things, not five. Four things, okay? So, and good friendship is you can openly discuss and openly engages in conversations without what? Without any fear of backlash. Is that right? Backlash, that means afterwards they come back and kill you. Is that called backlash? Yeah, right, okay. So, and he also says here in the first paragraph on page 125, the fourth line, he said, he emulates them in regard to their accomplishment in faith, moral discipline, generosity, and wisdom. So he rejoices, he praises them, he takes them as a role model and everything, okay? So that is good friendship. So check on ourselves. Do we have good friendship with others? Yes? No? Good. Okay, good. All right, good. Good. Very good. Okay, then the last of the four things is balanced living. So knowing his income and knowing how much he spent, he is able to lead a balanced life. That means he doesn't spend more than what he earns. That is called a balanced life. Neither going into too extravagant or going into too stingy life. Some people are very wealthy, but they live a very stingy life. Some people are not very well off, but they live a very extravagant life. And when people see them, they say, wow, this guy must be very wealthy. These guys must be very rich, and driving fancy cars, flying here and there in first class and buying all these brand name things. But what they do is they sign credit card. So every month they pay off the credit card. So that is not a balanced living. That is a very unbalanced living. Okay? So balanced living means whatever that you earn, you don't spend as much. Okay? So if you make $100, don't spend 101 or 102. Spend only 98 or even 90 or 80. Okay? So that's what the following passages actually are talking about. So, and he gives a beautiful simile here, is about a goldsmith. Goldsmith, 打金嘅人啊. Goldsmith, so when he take this, when he take the spoon up, this is that much. When he pour it in, this is that much. So that means the goldsmith is very, very precise. Very precise. He says so much it has dipped down, but so much it has tilted up. So not one bit more or one bit less. Just right. So it's balanced. Not tipped either way. Very balanced. So the Buddha said, this is the present welfare, future welfare, the 4 things that you need to be. And then when he has, collected a lot of wealth, the wealth thus amassed has 4 sources of dissipation. That means the 4 way to use his wealth, 4 ways to spend the money. For some people, the first way that they spend the money is womanizing or manizing. Okay, if it is for a woman, it's manizing. Okay. So womanizing, so spending all the money to please women. Okay, so we all understand that. And then the second one is drunkenness, like drinking. Or intoxicants, any other intoxicants. And then gambling. 4 ways to dissipate all the wealth. And then with evil friendship. Okay? So, I remember in Dhammapada there was a story about this very, very rich man. His father left him all the inheritance, and he actually married a very, very rich woman. But yet, in the township, there are a whole group of evil friends, wanting to actually have a share of his wealth. So they actually tempted him and led him to womanizing, drinking. No, I don't think there was gambling in that story, but at least womanizing and drinking. And then he spent all his wealth and buying things, and then he spent all his wife's wealth, everything. And then eventually he has to sell his house. So eventually he and his wife actually where did they sleep? They slept under the awning of other people's houses. And eventually the Buddha, he had actually, matured. They have actually matured in listening to the Dharma. So I remember that actually the Buddha started teaching to them, and they received the Dharma. So that is evil friendship. Okay. So remember in the Mahamangala Sutta, or Mangala Sutta, remember what is one of the verse in Mangala Sutta? Anybody remember? With fools no company keeping. With fools no company keeping. So fools are evil friends, and evil friends are fools. Okay? So these 4 things actually bring about the dissipation of amassed wealth. So then, of course, there is this way to dissipate the wealth. Of course, on the opposite, there is another way to accumulate wealth, right? And the Buddha said there are 4 ways or 4 sources of increase of amassed wealth. Is, of course, it will be the same as abstinence from womanizing. Okay, don't spend that money in womanizing. It doesn't mean that the womanizing is like flirting and spending money, all these, not on your wife, okay? Of course, on your wife is not womanizing, but on other women. And then abstinence from drunkenness, and abstinence from gambling, and abstinence from evil friendship. And the Buddha said, this actually leads to a family man's welfare and happiness in this present life. And he gave also a beautiful simile, how you can amass, how can you increase your wealth, is giving this simile as a tank with 4 inlets and outlets, holes, okay? And if you close the inlets and only open the outlets, all the rainwater that you collect, what? Will be run off, will all run off. You have nothing left. But if you close the outlets and open the inlets, so rainwater will keep coming in, but no, it won't go out unless you open the outlets and let it go and what? Water your field, right? Or do whatever that you need to use the water. So that is also another simile that the Buddha actually gave in with this, in accordance with this increase of amassed wealth. Okay, I want to ask you, among all these 4 sources of increase of amassed wealth, or the 4 ways of this dissipation, I want to ask you about the 4 ways of dissipation of the wealth. Which way you think is the most destructive to your point of view? Which way is the most destructive? Laurie?
I would say drunkenness, because it takes away your clear thinking and you would make poor choices.
Okay.
And
Drunkenness. Okay. Okay. Drunkenness. Nora, yes.
Evil friendship, because if you have good friends, they can lead you out of your troubles and maybe help you see the right path.
Okay. Anybody else? Jelly. You have to unmute yourself, Jelly.
For me, it would be womanizing, but I think when you have a relationship and the trust is broken, it's something you don't get back.
Okay. That's good. Anybody else? Jeremy. Good thing that I know all of your names. Jeremy.
I'm going to say, I think the alcohol and drunkenness and stuff again, for the simple reason that it leads to all 3 of the other ones as well.
Yes, good. Very good. Okay. Anybody else? Nobody else? All of them. Claudio said all of them are key to happiness and harmony. Okay. I am asking 4 ways of dissipation of the wealth. Which one you think is the most destructive? Claudio, you're always one step ahead. Too soon, too fast. Okay, Tissa. You have to unmute yourself, Tissa. There you go.
Okay, yeah. I would say gambling.
Gambling.
If the wealth is defined by the amount of money that you have,
Yes.
the faster that you throw away the money by gambling, then you become very poor.
Okay. That's a good way to express that. Okay. Who else? Paul?
Drunkenness,
Drunkenness.
the 5 precepts of
Yes.
intoxicants,
Yes.
which lead to an unfocused
Okay.
mind, which will lead to everything.
Everything. Okay. Paul said that the drunkenness leads to an unfocused mind, which will lead to everything. Anybody else? Anybody here? Okay, you say gambling, you will? Drunkenness. friendship? Versa, okay.
I'm thinking of our wealth and how if the Dharma is something that provides us with wealth, then gambling is bad, because if you just put your trust in that one and you don't gamble with other ideas and other views and other, we have a good guide, you don't need to gamble with other things. So I just thought of that as an idea.
I agree with you. Out of the four, myself, I feel, myself, yes, drunkenness is destructive. It's destructive. Oh, somebody, Williams.
Yeah.
William. Okay, you have to unmute yourself, William.
Do you have them?
Yeah, right corner. Yeah, there you go.
No.
Yes.
Go. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, William.
This is Patricia. I'm using William iPad.
Oh, okay. Who are you then?
Sorry, I didn't understand. Sorry, this is a Google. Mini Google is talking because I want to say something. Okay, I just said that gambling is the most destructive. I recognize, I know someone in my life that is so addictive up to the point that he loses everything.
Mm.
His
Yeah.
factory and his
Family.
and friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Up to the point he has to hide himself, that nobody knows who he is because he has so much sharp love.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Oh, Patricia. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Patricia. I agree. I out of the four myself, I would choose gambling as the first most destructive, and then drunkenness, the second one. Because after you're drunk, you don't do anything. But the gambling can go on 24 hours. You can only drink that much, then you get drunk. You're done for 24 hours. You get up, you wake up, you have a what? Hangover, hangover, then you don't do anything. But gambling is so addictive, it's so bad. I've known people who have lost their family, broken families, not wealth, not even wealth, don't talk about wealth, living. Don't even have sufficient money to buy food and clothes and rent not a decent place, a decent room to live. And of course, with gambling, it's very difficult to come out because every time they think that, okay, one more, then I'll get my money back. One more game, I'll get my money back. And this so addictive. And they have such a wrong view, delusion, illusion, thinking that this one game will bring back all what he has lost. And when they are on the gambling table, they are just like drunkenness. They are just drunk. They lost their clarity also. And you know, of course, they actually would be accompanied with evil friendship. Yeah. One gambles when they drink too. Great Craig sack. Yeah. So.
The biggest threat of gambling is when they win.
Paul said that the biggest threat of gambling is when they win once. When they win once and they lost, then they lost they will lose like 100 times.
And then they win.
And then they win once again. Then that's actually such a deep addiction. Gambling is the one addiction that's actually very difficult to come out. Very difficult. Yeah. So, I mean, that's only my own view.
I think gambling usually also has sort of a component of drunkenness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually that also leads.
They all go together. Yeah.
I've been to Las Vegas once.
Ah.
And staying in a hotel, when you walk into your room, you have to actually walk past
the bar.
Yeah, all the gambling stuff, like all the machines and slot machines and stuff. And when you walk through there, there's smoking, and they bring out drinks and stuff.
Yeah, and also womanizing.
Yeah, it's just
everything is in there.
And a lot of the people, the gambling, they're drinking and they're smoking.
Yeah. So that's why I think gambling is the most poisonous to me. Okay, so then we have seen that the four sources of increased wealth. So we go into this. So the Buddha, after telling them these are the welfare for the present life. So what is the welfare and happiness in the future life? And he said there are also 4 things. First is the accomplishment in faith. So placing faith not in anybody else, but placing faith in the Tathagata, in the Buddha, in the teachers, because he is what? He is worthwhile. He is an arahant, and he is the fortunate one, and he has attained perfect enlightenment and perfect in conduct and knower of the world, and nobody can surpass him. So those are the 10 names of the Buddha. Okay, so that is the faith, and the Bodhi. That means he's like he is perfectly enlightened, and in the Bodhi, perfection in awareness, enlightenment, and when we take that faith in Bodhi, the enlightenment of the Buddha, that means we take faith in the teachings that will, if we practice those teachings, that will lead us eventually to enlightenment in the future. And those teachings we all know, we should all know by heart now, is the 4 Noble Truths and the 12 links of dependent origination and the Dharma seals, the 3 Dharma seals. So you all know about those, right? So I don't have to repeat those. So then the second one is the accomplishment in moral discipline. Moral discipline. So we also should be very well versed, literally, about moral discipline. We should actually be able to memorize them back to front to back now, right? So remember, those are the at least for householder, at least the 5 precepts. Is the basic sila that one really need to keep, is not to destroy or intentionally hurt or harm life, and intentionally take things which do not belong to you without permission, and sexual misconduct or adultery, false speech or slandering or gossiping, and abstain from wines, liquors, and intoxicants, which are the basis for negligence. So that is accomplishment in moral discipline. That means a householder actually try to maintain a very, very strong sila, strong morality. So then the accomplishment in generosity, this generosity, not just about dana, not just about giving or offering, is this generosity in Pali term is mutta kacha. Mutta, M-U-T-T-A, kacha, C-A-G-A. That means the mind, there is no attachment. The mind, there is no stinginess. In the mind, there is no attachment, there is no stinginess. And also, one very important about this generosity, or the word generosity, is mutta kacha, is there is no expectation of any reward, whether it's verbal, whether it's material. Okay? If you are generous and you expect something in return, then that is not considered as generosity at all. Okay? No strings attached. Yeah, thank you, Claudio. No strings attached. So that means with somebody who actually are accomplished in generosity, they dwell at home, it says in here, they dwell at home with the mind devoid of stinginess and freely generous, open-handed, delighting. It is on page 126, the second paragraph. Delighting in relinquishment, and devoted to charity, and delighting in giving and sharing. That means always being so happy when one is able to give, to share. Okay, and then the last one is accomplishment in wisdom. Of course, this is the ability or the quality that actually all within ourselves. It's not being cultivated. It's not being. It cannot be learned. Wisdom is something that you cannot be learned from, not just from mere words. It's from cultivations of samadhi, of cultivation of insight. And deep insight, deep samadhi lead to deep insight. And deep insight and deep samadhi leads to eradications of defilements, afflictions. And this cleanliness arises, and then you will be able to see things differently. So that is wisdom. Okay? It's not something to be learned. It can be learned. It cannot be, you cannot get wisdom from studying. You can get knowledge from studying. You will be a scholar, you will be very knowledgeable, but you're not necessarily wise. Wisdom comes from inside. When the defilements and the afflictions, all these pollutants are being washed, cleansed, then the wisdom will surface by itself, on its own. Okay? So, and of course here is that accomplishment in wisdom, of course, is seeing things as impermanent, seeing things as conditioned. So that is the really the final things that we need to really, the last thing that we need to understand. And the last very important thing that we, before we become enlightened, is really seeing that truth. Penetrating through that, remember, penetrating through that wall of conditioned existence into the unconditional. Remember when I talk about the Ratana Sutta? You know, seeing past that and penetrating through that wall. Okay? So then you will be really wise. Okay? So that is, the wisdom is really the noble area quality, the noble quality, which will help us to really liberate ourselves from all the sufferings, all the miseries. And this is wisdom. Okay? Of course, the faith, the moral discipline, generosity, and all those are the foundation that one needs to actually build up in order to actually, you know, have the strength and have the energy to go on. All right? Okay, now come reflections. So the reflection we need to discuss tonight. The 4 things for the present welfare is accomplishment of persistent effort, the accomplishment of protection, good friendship, balanced living. That's what the Buddha taught. Okay, now I want you to think about which ones belong to the aspect of economic welfare. The welfare arises from, finance or material gain or whatever. Economic welfare. Which one belongs to the aspect of economic welfare? Second one, the accomplishment of protection. Okay. First one only? First one and second one. And the third one. And the fourth one. So everything. Okay. So that, anybody else? Do you agree with version say 1, 2, 3, 4? Okay. Economic welfare, that means wealth, right? Okay. So which ones, belong to the aspect of wholesome qualities? The welfare of wholesome qualities. One, two, three, 4. 3 and 4? Huh? 3 and 4, right? Only 3 and 4? Only 3 and 4? Or 1, 2, 3, 4? Okay, Ophelia said 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there's 2 questions. Okay, Ophelia said 2 questions. The first question, economic value welfare is 1 and 2, and wholesome qualities is 3 and 4. That's Ophelia's answers. Remember, what does he mean by persistent effort? He is skillful and diligent. He investigates the appropriate means, able to act and arrange everything properly. This is called the accomplishment of persistent effort. So effort in his way, in his means of amassing wealth, earns his living by farming, trade, cattle raising, archery, or civil servant. This is economic. This is the first welfare present of economic value. And accomplishments of protection, he protects his wealth, acquired by energetic striving, right? Amassed by the strength of his arms, earned by the sweat of his brows, and righteous wealth righteously gained. So that is also economic. But 4 wholesome qualities is really good friendship and balanced living. You see, look at the first is accomplishment of persistent effort, not necessarily doing the right livelihood. Remember, right? Cattle raising, archery, right? That is not right livelihood. But that is economic welfare. Okay, so it's not 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Okay, Laurie, you have a question or you agree? You agree, okay, good. Okay, Ophelia, everybody agrees with you. Good, wonderful. Yeah, good. So, and I agree with you also. That's how I feel. Okay, and then separately, how would they bring on different welfare? Separately, of course, I mean, I gave you the answers already. Separately, they bring on economic welfare for the first and the second. And the third and the fourth bring on welfare of wholesome qualities. So they bring on different welfare, right? But separately. But together, can they be interchanged or can they work together? Can they all work together to bring on welfare? Yeah? Yeah, all agree, right? Okay. So that is 4 things for the present welfare. What about the 4 things for the future welfare? That is, the first is faith, second is morality, and then generosity, and the wisdom. So are they connected? Like step by step, okay, I have faith first, then I'll do morality, then I'll do generosity, then I'll be wise. Is it like this, like a ladder, climbing up step by step, 1 step at a time? Versus said no. Ophelia said no. And who else said no? Put up your right hand. Good. Okay, so what do you think are the connections then? How are they connected together? How are they connected together? They are like 4 legs which provide stability to a table. That's very good, Claudio. You all agree with Claudio the opinion? Claudio said, these are like the 4 legs. We all need the 4 legs to a table in order to have a stable table. No one should be missing. If one is missing, you only have 3-legged table. Then it's not stable. You cannot put soup on top of that unless you hold it. You hold the table yourself. You become the 4th leg. Right? So they are connected. They need to be connected. And he also said, plus each one reinforces the others. Yeah, very good. Catherine, wisdom is needed for the rest. Yes, Catherine. Okay, Catherine.
Supposed to have faith first?
Are we supposed to have faith first?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, yes.
Faith is the very first important step. Very first. Although Claudio is right, see, that sense is you need the 4 things all together in order for future welfare. But to start off, remember, faith is very, very crucial. Remember, we studied that before, right? Chapter 3, approaching the Dharma, I think. Or, yeah, chapter 3, I think. Page 103, if you want to read. Oh, no, sorry, 103 is my summary. I've written it in the, okay. Actually, it's in chapter 3, the end of chapter 3. You go back and read it, that the 14 steps to the ultimate arrival to the ultimate truth. So that is the final arrival at truth. That is the 14 steps. I made it out to 14 steps. Then the first step is the faith. Without faith, you won't start off. You won't take The first step is faith. Then without faith, you will not have this, you will not reinforce this, you will not encompass this four step. And these other 3 steps will just naturally come. A lot of people are very generous, but they do not have faith in the Buddha's teachings. They're not necessarily moral, but they are generous. They're not necessarily wise, but they could be very, very clever. Okay? So, so that's that. So some people are very moral, but they are not necessarily generous, nor wise. But faith is the first very important step to take. So if you have time, I strongly recommend you to go and read the last bit of chapter 3. Okay, it's talking about the arrival at the truth. And I can't remember which, I think it's 22nd or 22nd or 23, I can't remember. But read that, and then you will actually you understand why faith is actually the very first important step. Okay?
Aren't those 4 also part of the pyramid?
Of course. Yes.
So
yeah.
That's why they're working together.
Yeah. They have to, as Claudia said, they all have to work together. But in the beginning, you really need to have faith to start off on this cultivation of parami.
It's 19.
Oh, 19. Dharma talk 19. We're talking about the arrival at truth. I think 19 and 20. Yeah, both 2. Yeah. Okay. So this is the reflections that I would like. I want us to go through tonight. So, any questions? Any questions? No questions? Show them this wonderful picture. This is moonlight and Chilliwack, Mount Shem, beautiful Mount Shem. Okay, all right. Any questions? Anybody want to share anything about tonight? Nobody. Okay, Laura, Nori. Okay, Laurie and Nora. Okay, whoever come first. Nora. Okay.
So lovely to have you back teaching, Sweet Fu. I hope you're feeling rested. Thank you.
Thank you, Nora. I'm glad to be back. Laurie?
Nora beat me to it. That's exactly what I was going to say.
So you missed me for the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Don't miss me too much. Okay. All right. Okay, so that's all for tonight. So the last one is we dedicate our merits. May these blessings extend to all, that we, with all the other living beings, together will attain the Buddha way. May we wish more and more people will encounter the words of the Buddha, study them, practice them, and help themselves to liberate from their own defilements, afflictions, sufferings, miseries, and be ultimately free, happy, and peaceful.